voice of Fintech.
Hello and welcome to Voice of Fintech Africa series. I'm Rudy Fala, the founder of Voice of Fintech podcast. In this series, you will hear inspirational stories of entrepreneurs, investors, incumbents, and ecosystem hub leaders from Africa. And this episode is hosted by Stacey.
Welcome to Voice of Fintech, the African series. I'm Stacey Japhta, and today I'll be chatting with Wayne Zwiers, CEO of Basalt Technology. Basalt Technology is an award-winning software development company that solves complex business problems through the rapid implementation of profitable, disruptive technology solutions. In this episode, Wade and I chat about all things fintech, important attributes to look for in your leadership team, and the difference between the traditional model and the new model of VCs in Africa. Hello, Wayne. How are you doing?
Hey there. How are you doing? Good, and you?
Good. How's your day been?
Yeah, very well. Thank you.
Where are you in the world right now?
That's a good question because we could be anywhere at this stage. Anyone could be anywhere. So I'm currently in Johannesburg, South Africa, and we got offices and teams dotted all over. Yeah.
Awesome. How's the last couple of months been for you?
Ups and downs, I think. Last year was a very easy year for us, a really good year.
Really?
But just like dealing on the long tail of probably conversions and leads and new projects coming in, which we're catching our feet on, which catching our breath on now. But it just shows how one starts to understand business cycles and how long your new business conversion cycle is until you really need to know.
Yes. Well, before we dive any deeper, I would just love to hear more about your career journey and essentially what led you to build Basalt Technology.
So, I started off in hand design, actual art, fine art and graphic design. And then what's quite interesting, when after school, being very creative, I always wanted to run a business, have my own company. It was just been something I knew I wanted to and will do. And then my mom at that stage, I can imagine a little young boy saying he wants to run his own company. And she said, well, let me put you in contact with someone that can give you advice so that you don't do something silly or just not go to varsity or college.
How old were you at this moment?
Around 17, maybe, yeah. And I met with this individual and he said, do what you love and everything else will follow. And it was an amazing lesson even so early in my life because looking back, it was almost the Steve Jobs speech that he did in one of the unis in America where he said, looking back, all the dots start connecting and make sense. And you don't know when you're going forward what those will be, but looking back, it works itself out. Yeah, so I went on to do graphic design, web design, multimedia in those days, and then got into web programming, then landed up in project management in the UK and was managing outsourced teams in India, which was that kind of the offshoring piece was quite popular. And then I went into client service and client focus, marketing, digital marketing, advertising, and then more into the business side of things. And technology was always one of the departments we've had in our businesses previously. So then just understanding that was a really important thing to really critical in the industry because not many people could do that right. Delivery and quality was always a challenge. And just knowing if we do that right, we're in that blue ocean strategy where we could just focus on adding value and shipping features as fast as possible to our clients. So that was the starting stages to Basalt. And where we are today is a technology company building financial solutions and products within the banks and FS and fintech startups.
This is awesome. We were chatting about how your business grew tenfold and you had to build a strong leadership team. You had to start from scratch. What was the most important attributes you looked for in the leadership team? And how did the company culture change as each member joined the business?
So I think it's quite interesting because when you start from a zero base, the growth is exponential. And knowing what you have to do at what stage. And when starting a business from scratch, you are, as a founder, doing every single role and department, and you're switching hats. What's interesting, and I learned in there, was, say you're running different departments, then operationally bring in that person that it would head up your operations, give them as much leadership and guidance and tools as you can so that they can pick that up and run with it. And then you can go to the next piece and next piece. It's a slower process and more structured and creates stability. But building it through that process, which worked quite well for me. So the last component was finance, because that was one that it's very difficult for a founder to not say let go, but to hand over to someone else. So I went to operations, finance, from technology to all HR and all these components. So that's really how I started bring in specialists to do the job that they're really good at in that space. And then then you got an interesting thing with team dynamics. You can have brilliant people, great skills, but they don't work together in the team that there is. It has nothing to do with individuals, just the dynamics of personalities and stuff, which was also a great learning. So we've had people on our leadership team which were brilliant, but just didn't fit in from dynamic. I wouldn't say culture, because it wasn't culture, or it could be maybe our business culture, but yeah, so it just works its way out and takes 3 years. But one has to be realistic with yourself in terms of how long that takes. So I think for that team to be set up was no less than 22 months.
What was the moment you realized you needed support, you need a couple more members, either on the exec team, on the leadership team, to help you grow this business and see it thrive?
I think that's quite an interesting one. So I think everyone says, well, what is the first part of the first 6 months or 8 months or a year of the business? What did you do? Was a lot. Yeah, just everything, employing to finance to gearing to delivery to. But you know what? It's important because one understands the DNA of your own business and what the mechanics are that make up the success of all these components. And I've always said your business has a heartbeat, and potentially the founders know what that rhythm of that heartbeat is, and if it misses a beat or two, you know where to pick it up. Often when you see businesses or companies being bought out and handed over so quickly, that there's a high percentage of failure or team dynamics because external individuals or companies don't know what that rhythm is or the rhythm of the company. And that's also where the culture changes, where people leave a company because the culture changed, but it was actually more the rhythm of the company and how it was working and running. So yeah, those are quite interesting lessons and learnings I've had through that process.
Yeah, we're working with a couple companies that only have founding members and they're currently building their exec team. Do you have any advice for them where the company culture is ultimately just maybe a founder and a co-founder, and they need to decide right now the direction they're going in?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of it boils down to individual and one's character and being able to let go, because you can't grow your business on your own. You need people and good skills and talent around you in order to scale and grow. And in saying that as well, you need to invest in that too. Cutting corners when it comes to people and skills, it never works out. Yeah. You're building a building with no foundation and with crappy scaffolding. It's finding the best people. And even I've had this, and it's been a lot of what our success is. I'd rather have less brilliant people than many average. So let's pay people great money, but have less brilliant people, because there's just less challenges that we would have. Not to say that we won't train and inspire and have interns in our company. But I think when you're starting out from scratch, you got to keep it tight and know that the people in the company can run and lead clients' conversation, be strategic, be technologists, and be confident in their space.
I love that. And your teams have been built in different time zones, speaking different languages, and your goal is to build high-performance teams. Firstly, what does a high-performance team look like in your eyes, and what's the secret to doing this?
So I have a good sniggle because we got very strong kind of values in our business and principles as well. And one of those is I tell when I was interviewing people in the business or in the Basalt business, at least, I would say you go to work, you drive a car, you can pay your mortgage, your bond, you can get married, you can kill a person, you can go to jail.
Okay, where is this going?
you can get your work done. So you don't have to be babied. You've got all sense of responsibility in your private life and where the limits and all these things are, or what you can or can't do. But don't come to work and act as a child, because we're adults and we don't need to be babied. And I think it's refreshing to see that in our company and how people work together in that sense. We don't have conversations around non-delivery, like performance and micromanaging and time watching and clocking, because we're all adults. Being smart in our business is the ticket to the game. Everyone's smart because that's the space we're in, deep tech, high tech. But it's really around just owning everyone owning their own workflow and their work stuff. And I think that's where there's a massive difference, and one can see that change.
Okay, question for you then. Everyone thrives off a different managerial style. If you've hired someone that you've noticed maybe would do better in a position where they're working closer with their manager, is that person then just not made for your business, or how would you look at a situation like that?
It's a good question, because you got to hire different skills for different roles. And in our leadership team, I've deliberately made sure that everyone is very different in a sense, that we're not the same people, have the same thinking, and we're always challenging each other. You've got an introverted, very mechanical person running maybe an operational, an engine room. You've got a managing director that is very extroverted and client-facing and strategic. So you've got to find all the different skills, and the magic's putting it together. And I suppose that takes experience and a bit of intuition as well. And it's important to have deeper conversations with people than just surface interviews and chats, where, like I always say, I'm not looking at what you've done to come to our company. We're looking at what you can do and what you're going to do. And who are people as individuals? What is the electricity that puts fire in your body, so that you what do you get up in the morning to do? And is that purpose aligned to our company's purpose? And then you can't employ someone to be more creative, more positive, more passionate. Those things individuals come to a business with. So you've got to align to those, and then everything else falls into place quite nice.
Awesome. Okay, this is a question I'm very interested in knowing the answer to, because I work on the BD side. Businesses are inundated with companies trying to sell their technology. How do you get in front of the right person? How do you get their attention? And then what sets Basalt apart from the rest?
That's a really great question. It's understanding who the right person is and what are their pain points or what are their needs. And I think that comes from a lot of my marketing background or launching products, and is understand what are the pain points and how do we solve those problems and deliver on those problems. And if you can do that, then you're already like streets ahead. And if people don't have the time of day for a person or a company, you're actually not adding value or delivering or showing or sharing any value. Because if anyone sees value, they'll jump at it, because that's what we're after in terms of needs or our requirements. So, and it's often people said, well, who are your competitors? And I actually don't know, and I haven't had the time or lost the energy to do that, because we're solving our clients' problems every day, and we're looking at our clients' customers and our clients as a customer and their customers, and how we enriching and bettering their lives and giving them solutions. And doing that right is just where word of mouth spreads and the magic is created.
Okay, so you've identified the right person. Now you're trying to get in front of them. Is there any innovative ways you go about this?
So if you look at like our industry, we focus predominantly on in finance. So when last did a person pick up a phone and try to get hold of a bank and go through the lengthy processes and then get dropped off and picked up again and then understand, we've got technology in place, but is it actually connecting us with the brands or disconnecting us? And then that could be a pain point, and how we... And are these maybe private wealth clients or private banking clients? And is that the right way to connect? And this is merely just an example, understanding from a customer's point of view. So maybe you've got the best tech, maybe you've got the best call centers, answering centers, but are you actually solving your client's simple problem in the process that has been set up? So how do you then simplify, become more efficient, and answer those client challenges and problems in a better way? So it's just an example of how we approach things, looking at where the pain points are and how we can close those gaps and create opportunity for our clients and their customers.
You just mentioned helping businesses become more efficient, and you do this through technology. What are the most common things that are slowing businesses down that can be solved with technology, specifically yours? So
I think obviously there's and to be fair, in South Africa, we've really got this entrepreneurial spirit, and there's always that saying in South Africa, at least, we'll make a plan. So like we have that solving problems mentality. But I think there's a right time and place for it, but where we can be a lot faster and quicker in the way we do things and deploy, and not overthink and be critical around the risks too much, start to get going. And once you're moving, one can then build out the pieces there. And there are many great stories around there we've had, but obviously they sit within our clients' environments, which is quite high enough. But again, it's really be able to move faster than a mothership can or a massive corporation. And there are massive pockets of excellence, but that's going to change. And looking in the UK and working a lot in the UK, the customer's driving that behavioral change for the corporation. So you look at the Revoluts and the Monzas and all the banking apps and fintechs, and the banks have to play catch up now because the customer's driving those new initiatives and trust and journey. And I think it's going to happen in South Africa very quickly, and if not already, it is, but it's going to come quite fast.
I'm excited to see what's in store. Wayne, you have exciting things in store from your end. You're starting a venture builder between South Africa and the UK. There are two VC models in Africa, the traditional model and the new model. What are your thoughts on the two?
It's an interesting, and I suppose everyone has a purpose, and every investment strategy or model has a purpose. But what we're looking at is having founder-builded venture where the founders bring the ideas and have the opportunity to then build those and grow those. And what's exciting there is that there's an understanding of what those businesses are, and from early stage. And in that space as well, if something doesn't work, you scrap it and you find the next one. So it's almost like an engine room for great ideas to get to the next stage of Series A, Series B funding. So we've got 4 businesses already that are going into the engine, and looking forward to how those are going to be accelerated and taken out, or maybe 1 or 2 might not, but then we go back to the drawing board. So a high-performance team between South Africa and the UK, and looking at building these great initiatives. And it's becoming quite a big trend in terms of venture building studios. They typically start with 100% ownership for the founders, and then they give them equity. And then there's also opportunity for South Africa to look at corporate innovation in a bit of a blended model of the free-range venture builder startup studio, for another word, in a corporate innovation side and way of doing it. So we're really excited for that, and the opportunity is massive.
That's awesome. I'm excited as well. Wayne, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and advice. It was so helpful. There's a couple nuggets in there that I'm excited to implement in my day-to-day. Where's the best place for listeners to reach you?
So the best place would be LinkedIn. So you can just search me on LinkedIn. It's Wayne Zwiers, Zwiers. And it's Basalt Technology is the tech company that we have. And then Launcher is going to be our venture builder in the UK, which will be coming in the next few months. Amazing. Thank you for having me on the show.
Awesome. Thanks again, Wayne.
Thank you for listening to Voice of Fintech podcast. If you haven't already, check out also voiceoffintech.com, where you will find all the episodes and additional resources related to the podcast. You can also subscribe to Voice of Fintech on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or any other podcast app that you like. If you have any suggestions on the topics or guests, or how to make this podcast better for you, please email us at info@voiceoffintech.com. Happy to hear from you.